it's a sign of the times that those future sight Tarmogoyfs are like $5 now. Maybe not those ones. Those foil ones are still quite a bit more, I would imagine. But Jund in some form still does have what it takes here.
Indeed, that looks a lot more fun, a lot more flavorful than the red-black Evoke deck that the Rakdos Evoke, I guess, is the mainstay, but Yang's turning me into a believer.
So we have a Yogmoth mirror here for the background match in round 4. We saw a little spicy addition from one of these Yogmoth decks in the previous round in Agatha's Soul Cauldron. New card from Wildswell Drain, opening up a lot of these like weirdo, elaborate combo lines. Haven't seen anything quite that new and innovative from the other Yogmoth deck yet, but we still have time here.
Yep, and this card
there
works
we go.
With,
it works with a lot. It's really hard to think through the full implications of that card in the shell, but you have, I think we saw Yogmoth and Scavenging Ooze under it in a previous match. You can put a Ignoble Hierarch or something under it, and now all of your Young Wolves are Mana Dorks as well, so a lot of angles to that card. And one other subtle aspect to it as well is it can exile cards from both graveyards, so you can steal the abilities of their stuff, but it's also just graveyard hate sometimes in a format where, we saw that match at Snapcaster Mage, a lot of these small graveyard synergies running around. Orcish Bowmasters also makes a creature with a counter on it, just another way to enhance that card. And that Bowmaster here going to shoot down the Ignoble Hierarch and leave Eric Rose pretty far behind in terms of development.
Certainly the attrition value between the Yawgmoth decks has been kind of fun. Hierarch coming in for Ernesto here. Eric Rose is the one with the spicy Soul Cauldron.
Now, I know in the booth we are meant to be fully impartial here. I'm rooting for whoever has the Soul Cauldrons, and if that's both of them, well, I'm rooting for all of us. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, I'd like to be impartial, but if somebody goes Soul Cauldron, Beseech the Mirror it, I mean, I'm getting behind that player for the rest of the day.
I wouldn't hold my breath, but I'm with you there. So here is Young Wolf here from Taylor, another Young Wolf too. So we're now in this spot where whoever sticks the first Yawgmoth is really going to be off the races, but unclear if either one of them can actually do that just yet.
A little bit of setup on both players. Main deck Endurance probably a consideration for both. Ernesto currently capable. Eric at the end of last turn tapped beneath that. Just a pass back here. It looks like a Chord at least, and a Grist the Hunger Tide. So Ernesto has the ability to pull out a Yawgmoth here if he'd like.
Yeah, can pull the trigger at any time. And it looks like, now is the time for that. In response to the Young Wolf, Chord for 4 gonna put Yawgmoth in play. And Eric, it looks like, has enough. If he has his own Chord, he could Chord for 4 as well, but would be able to do a little less with that at this stage. Without that second Undying creature in play just yet. I expect we're going to see Yawgmoth shooting down the Prosperous Innkeeper first.
And you're exactly right, Innkeeper target.
And so now Eric is in this bind where if he has his own Chord, he can try to Chord in response, but then Taylor can, in response to that, shoot down everything else with the Yawgmoth. And so when Eric's Yawgmoth comes into play, it just won't have anything to eat itself in return. Oh, but Eric's gonna... Okay, so this was Chord for 3 in the end. So Eric's going to try to minus the Grist and sacrifice something to shoot down the Yawgmoth, but Taylor can actually prevent that here if he's willing to devour his board, and even if he leaves that around, he'll have drawn so many cards and be so far ahead still that Ernesto is going to take this game on down.
Yeah, he can eat everything until that young wolf comes back and leaves one of the Undying? Oh, he's still going. Yawgmoth against Orcish Bowmasters is kind of a poor interaction for the Bowmasters player. The draw card trigger from Yawg is really quickly facilitated by the destruction of the Bowmaster.
It is, although once that Bowmaster is in play, that is a 1/1 that makes a juicy target for the Yawgmoth. So you maybe get a trigger or two of value out of that, but then you can't count on that as this more permanent hate piece.
Oh yes. Oh boy. Ernesto waiting on the activation of Grist and looks like now killing the other two creatures. Oh, no. Oh. Man, I gotta stop talking sometimes because these players make a liar out of me more often than I'd like.
Yeah, still shuffling those cannons around with the Yawgmoth, and with two Undying creatures, you effectively can pay a life to draw a card. You've built your Yawgmoth's bargain, if you like. And so once Ernesto tires at that, can let the Yawgmoth go, the Grist is going to die in combat, and then Ernesto has, God only knows how many cards in hand to follow up from here.
Ernesto not happy with what he sees. 3 lands here. It's a much cleaner board state. A lot happened in the last turn, man. Just a wall of roots. Into Grist. Clears out the board. Offers the trade before playing the Grist and clearing the creature. Finally, a very confusing forest. I think after the Dryad Arbor, this has got to be the second most confusing forest.
There are a lot of forests that seem designed to just vex people like us doing our jobs here, and that is one such case for sure. Eric with a nice old school swamp though, just as I like to think is a nod to us, but probably not.
No, excellent choice. Blood Artist here coming in from Eric, one of the old symmetrical effects, so turning off Ernesto for a minute.
And Eric, I'm impressed that he is still in this game in the sense of I would have scooped out my cards and seen the writing on the wall some time ago, but Eric just fighting on, preserving that chance, just in case. Are we trying to see if there's any unusual card choices in Ernesto's build?
E2's hunting for the Soul Cauldron.
As we all are, I think. I mean, interestingly, with the Cauldron, if there's a Yogmoth in either graveyard, you can eat that and now grant that ability to all of your creatures that have counters, and so you don't even need to have a route to your own Yogmoth sometimes if one has died earlier in the game or been milled by your opponent's Grist or something like that. And Cauldron with Grist is one of the most bizarre interactions where those creatures get the loyalty abilities of a Grist that is under the Cauldron, and so they start with 0 loyalty, so they can plus mill, make an insect, and then eventually could -2 and sacrifice something to shoot something else. So a lot of weird stuff that goes on with that card in this deck. can't really be the centerpiece of it the way things are constructed currently, but just a nice little one-of or two-of to add some variety in there.
Chris is a favorite of mine. Every time that card does something it shouldn't, I'm in love. I think that for all of the cards that are powerful or oppressive, Grist has been really just fantastic. Anytime that card is played, I love it. Green Sun
And
Zenith
the
for
fact
Grist. Go ahead.
And the fact that you can technically Zenith for it or whatever means it shows up in a lot of decks which otherwise wouldn't even consider playing Grist, but hey, once you have the option, why not? And then you get to see the card in action a lot more. So at the end of the game here, I think we're going to see if we can actually move on to the next game, given this round, which we're skipping around, is in its turnover. We're going to have round 5 for you before too long here. Or I guess this is round 5. Round 6. There we go. And for now, while that happens, you get to see our beautiful faces again. So a lot of Yogmoth in here, not really as a result of new cards, but that's a deck that has a very devoted following. And the new cards as of last set, Lord of the Rings, this is the deck that actually gets to play the most of them between Halfling and Bowmaster and the One Ring in some lists as well.
Definitely looks like we're trying to speed through a little bit more gameplay for you before the next round does begin. The time walk matchup is amazing. The production quality that Anurag puts through, I really do hope that you guys appreciate that in chat.
Yeah, with the magic of modern technology, we are able to fast forward here to game 2. And also did, in fact, win that first game. And so Eric's going to be on the play here with turn 1 Delighted Halfling. See if Vanessa can match that and try and keep up. And he does with... That is a Delighted Halfling, just with a bit of a different art there.
As a joke, dude. He's the one who did the Birds of Paradise art. Oh, yeah. So we get these signed by him.
And the second Undying creature in Yawgmoth, and there is a Yogmoth in hand too. So this is the full combo rolled up on turn 3 for Eric, unless Ernesto has something to disrupt it on this turn. Although you are seeing actually here the downside of the Halfling, which is the colored mana only casts legendary spells. So if you need something that's double pipped here and also a Yawgmoth, Halfling cannot do that in the way that your old school Birds of Paradise or Ignoble Hierarch actually could.
Coming in a Wall of Roots. Is that the Vizier, the snake friend?
Hapatra, yeah, so this is a 2-card combo with Yawgmoth effectively, where you sacrifice a creature, you put a counter on something, that putting a counter on triggers Hapatra, which makes a snake, which you can then sacrifice to repeat that process, and so you effectively build that same Yawgmoth bargain, but also get to shoot down the entire opposing board in the process.
No, I'm sorry. I'm on my base phase. I'm thinking about this size.
Taking care of the Delighted Halfling.
What is notable in the Yawgmoth mirror is, because Yawgmoth has protection from humans, if your opponent has a Yawgmoth, you can't actually try to finish that off with your own Yawgmoth. So there is some amount of back and forth there if one player can then dig towards a Grist or something like that.
Strangleroid getting through the wall. Ernesto doing some back of the napkin math, trying to figure out who lives. Decided it was better to keep mana. Chord for 3 available for Ernesto here.
Although, nothing there that really gets him out of the situation. And another Undying creature there for Eric, so has all the pieces in place still.
Board for 3 available, but not an option. Looks like just a grip full of lands for Ernesto.
Takanuma.
Is that Takanuma? There we go. Still got it. But
Very nice.
what we don't got is anything good off the Takanuma. Looks like the best option is Orcish Bowmasters or maybe another Wall of Roots. So it doesn't actually solve the issue that Ernesto is having here.
While you're tapped out, want to sacrifice this.
No.
Target.
Consolation prize Orcish Bowmaster just isn't a sentence I thought I was going to say doing coverage today.
And I'm going to sack here. Do it again.
It's an odd one in the mirror where it, as a proactive card, it's 2 bodies for your Yawgmoth or your Call of Calling, and you won't say no to that. But unless you are shooting an Ignoble Hierarch or something, the damage doesn't really do much, and they're not drawing additional cards unless it's with the Yawgmoth that's going to kill the Bowmasters. So you kind of want it just as a setup card or a combo piece, more so than anything that's actually hosing the opponent anyway.
Push into Bowmasters to clear Ernesto's board.
You're done, sir.
Looks like we might get a game 3. And Ernesto's had enough. All right. No cauldrons yet. I feel like even if it's not in the main, as a sideboard replacement for... One day I'm going to start remembering names of cards. The vehicle.
The unlicensed Hearse. Yeah. Which also, it's a little strange in the sense of, if you're some other deck that has unlicensed Hearse, maybe you switch those to Cauldron, and now, if you get paired against Yawgmoth, well now your is it Murtai deck or something, let's say, your Murtai region that has counters can suddenly be a Yawgmoth or a Grist or something.
Definitely. It looks like Anu's actually playing back game 2 for us. They've just swapped Delighted Halflings. I've got a deja vu of Delighted Halflings mirrored, but
Wall of Roots curving into Stranglergeist. Another Wall of Roots curving into Ignoble Hierarch. Okay, so an impressive board heading into turn 3 for Ernesto. If he has the core, thanks to the Wall of Roots, more than enough mana to jump to Yawgmoth. If he just has the Yawgmoth, that would obviously work just fine as well.
explosive start here for sure. See if Gods of Luck can do him a little bit more justice than last game. A little bit tamer start, Eric, for Twilight Mire and just Tranquil Geist.
Maybe having that same colored mana issue from the last game, or maybe just doesn't have that much else going on. Looks like not a ton in his hand there. But really, in the mirror here, the ball is in Ernesto's court. You know, on the play, has the mana creatures to lead out. Really, the only question left is, does he have the Yawgmoth?
I'd imagine he'd have slammed it a little bit faster, if so. Coming in, wrist. Thinking about whether to take up or take out the halfling, protect himself, insulate from Yogg one more turn. Not the issue with Orcish Bowmasters in hand.
Is that a pylon as well, I believe, for Ernesto?
Pylon's a good call. I believe you are correct.
Yeah, that's a neat removal spell for this deck. With the mix of creatures you have can often be convoked for 1 or even 0 mana, and then digging you towards whatever the next thing is that you need to find.
Earlier, I was catching a glimpse of it, trying to make it Myers Mastery, and it just wasn't getting there. Pylon's a fun one.
Yeah, I go to combat. Sure.
You're about to watch Snapcaster versus
Attacking in for 2. All right. Chris still on 3.
I mean, it's not great for Eric, but this is not the worst that could have happened. You know, if Ernesto had a route to Yogmoth, it would be in play by now already. So I guess we take those if for Eric.
just Snapcasters?
Yep, this feels like a vintage cube start where you keep on mana and hope to draw into payoffs. Certainly plenty of payoffs for Ernesto. I'm still kind of enjoying the seat that he's in. It's like now moving forward. Killed the Strangle Root, killed the Halfling. So pretty insulated turn. Couple of walls.
Oh, that's fine.
So if you're Ernesto, you need the Yogg. What are you trying to draw here if you're Eric?
That's the issue here is there's really nothing which you can have from behind that flips a script on the opponent from this kind of board state. So I guess you hope that Ernesto continues just not having much, maybe you have your own grist or something, and then in a few turns, if you find the Yawgmoth, you can get something going. But there's not a great answer to that question right now, sadly, for Eric.
With all the mana coming in from those walls are getting small enough that the Geist is attacking through. Does take the... Well, I bet you he's going to... But anyway, that pylon. So, here's a plan. Geist into Wolf, into Eldritch Evolution, I guess, is the... Ooh, not a bad start. Blood Artist here.
Risk can take up. Another insight back. Yeah, nothing is really happening in this game so far.
Ernesto's counting mana. This could be a...
One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Eric knows what's coming.
There it is.
I messed up that last turn.
At long last, we finally have a game action in this game, and it's an impressive one. There's Yogmoth gonna shut the door here and let Ernesto Taylor move to 4-1, winning this 3-game set here in the Yogmoth mirror.
Still would have liked to have seen the Soul Cauldron, but an impressive finish there. Congratulations.
So we will have more magic for you soon, but as Anurag is about to tell you, the Omnath mirror has gobbled up a lot of time here in the round, so going to figure out exactly when that's going to happen, but I will let him take you through all the details of that right now.